Time machine.
Time machine.
Time off.
Time off.
Have you ever had to take time off for health reasons?
Time out. Time out.
In between jobs, Liz always took time out to return to her first love, travelling. With 15.7 seconds left, Washington State called time out.
Timepiece.
Timepiece.
Time poor. Time poor.
Time poor.
Timer.
Timer.
Set the timer on the cooker for 3 minutes.
Times.
Times.
2 times 2 equals 4.
Then you times that by 1,000.
Time saving.
Time saving.
A time-saving device.
Timescale.
Timescale.
The timescale for completing the work would be fairly tight.
Time server.
Time server.
Timeshare.
Timeshare.
Timeshare flats.
Timesharing.
Timesharing.
Timesheet.
Timesheet.
Time signal.
Time signal.
Time signature.
Time signature.
Time sink.
Time sink.
Looking for things to buy on the internet is a real time sink.
Time span.
Time span.
It's difficult to imagine a time span of 1,000,000 years.
Times square.
Times Square.
Times table.
Do you know the 11 times table?
Time suck.
Time suck.
Time switch.
Time switch.
Timetable.
Timetable.
The council has set out a timetable for returning to civilian rule. The carnival parade is timetabled for 12 o'clock on both days. The course is timetabled for 1 period each week. Art students have very few timetabled hours.
Time travel.
Time travel.
Time warp.
Time warp.
The house seemed to be stuck in a 19th century time warp.
Time worn.
Time worn.
Time-worn steps.
Time-worn prejudices.
Time zone.
Time zone.
Timid.
Timid.
I was a timid child.
A policy that is both timid and inadequate.
Timing.
Timing.
He was just walking into the restaurant when we got there. Perfect timing.
He told jokes with an exquisite sense of timing.
The President and I did not discuss the timing of my departure.
Ferry schedules and precise timings are subject to weather conditions on the day of departure.
Timorous.
Timorous.
She was no helpless, timorous female.
Timpani.
Timpani.
Tin.
Tin.
An old tin bath.
A sardine tin.
A tin of baked beans.
A biscuit tin.
A 7-inch cake tin.
A roasting tin. A tin of brown paint.
A tin roof.
A tin mug.
Tincture.
Tincture.
Tinder.
Tinder.
Tinderbox.
Tinderbox.
The area is a tinderbox that could again plunge the country into civil war.
Tinder dry.
Tinder dry.
The whole forest is tinder dry.
Tine.
Tine.
Tinfoil.
Tinfoil.
Ting.
Ting.
Ting-a-ling.
Ting-a-ling.
Tinge.
Tinge.
There was a tinge of sadness in her voice.
This glass has a greenish tinge. The light of the setting sun tinges the buildings with delicate colours.
Pink tinged her cheeks.
Tinged.
Tinged.
His voice was tinged with sadness and regret.
White blossom tinged with pink.
Tingle.
Tingle.
My body tingled all over, and I had a terrible headache.
Graham felt a tingling sensation in his hand.
She tingled with excitement. Soon she would be able to tell Martha everything.
Tinker.
Tinker.
Congress has been tinkering with the legislation.
Dad was always tinkering around with engines.
Tinkle. Tinkle.
The distant tinkle of a cowbell.
I'll give you a tinkle tomorrow.
A tinkling bell.
Do you have to go tinkle?
Tinned.
Tinned.
Tinned tomatoes.
Tinnitus.
Tinnitus.
Tinny.
Tinny.
Tinny music.
Tin opener.
Tin opener.
Tin Pan Alley.
Tin Pan Alley.
Tin plate.
Tin plate.
Tin pot.
Tin pot.
A tin pot dictator.
Tinsel.
Tinsel.
The tinsel and glamour of Hollywood.
Tinseltown.
Tinseltown.
Tint.
Tint.
Paper with a yellowish tint.
Red tints in her hair.
Tinted.
Tinted.
Tin whistle.
Tin whistle.
Tiny.
Tiny.
A tiny community in the Midwest.
The earrings were tiny. A tiny little baby. A tiny little baby.
She always felt a tiny bit sad.
Bad teachers are a tiny minority.
Tiny pieces of paper.
Shun.
Shun.
Tip.
Tip.
He kissed the tip of her nose.
Southern tip of South America.
Lights on the wingtips of aeroplanes.
Did you leave a tip?
I gave the guy a big tip.
A $5 tip. Perhaps she could give us a few tips. This week's magazine has some tips on healthy eating, handy tips for decorating a small flat, gardening tips.
The reported cases of food poisoning are only the tip of the iceberg.
It was on the tip of my tongue to say I'd rather have dinner with a snake.
What is her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Joan Simpson. That's it.
A rubbish tip.
I'll take this lot to the tip.
The house was an absolute tip.
Acting on a tip, the police were able to find and arrest Upton.
His helmet had tipped forward, and the boy pushed it back.
Eric fell asleep, his head gently tipping to one side.
So what? Asked Brian, tipping his chair back on its rear legs.
Tip the onions and oil into a large oven-proof dish.
Ben tipped the contents of the drawer onto the table.
Shall I tip the water out?
Did you tip the waiter?
I tipped him $5.
The man tipped to become the next president.
He's tipped as a future world champion.
He had been widely tipped to get the new post of deputy director. He had been widely tipped to get the new post of deputy director. A silver-tipped walking stick.
3 factors helped to tip the balance in favour of the Labour leadership.
At today's weigh-in, he tipped the scales at just over 15 stone.
It was absolutely tipping it down.
Arrows tipped with poison.
Red petals tipped with white.
The police must have been tipped off. His contact had tipped him off that drugs were on the premises.
Did you tip him off about Bernard?
The candle tipped over and the hay caught fire.
The current was starting to tip the canoe over, and I began to panic. He tipped the bottle up so that the last of the liquid flowed into his glass.
Ken tipped up the wheelbarrow, then stood back to rest. Tip-off.
Tip-off.
The arrests came after a tip-off from a member of the public.
The fact that he hasn't called should be a tip-off that he's not interested. Tipex.
Tipex.
Tipping point.
Tipping point.
Tipple.
Tipple.
Tipex.
Tipple.
Tipex.
Tipping point.
Tippler.
Tippler.
Tippy toes. Tippy toes.
Tippy toes.
Tip sheet.
Tip sheet.
A tip sheet for private investors.
Tipster.
Tipster.
Tipsy.
Tipsy.
Tiptoe.
Tiptoe.
She stood on tiptoe to kiss him.
His mother tiptoed into the room.
I tiptoed along the corridor. They were tiptoeing around the delicate subject of money.
Tip-top.
Tip-top.
The car's in tip-top condition.
Tirade.
Tirade.
He launched into a tirade against the church.
A tirade of abuse.
Tire.
Tire.
As we neared the summit, we were tiring fast.
Sooner or later he'll tire of politics.
He never tires of talking about the good old days.
All that walking tired me out.
Tired.
Tired.
I'm so tired I could sleep for a week.
He was too tired to argue.
He looks tired out.
No, Frank said in a tired voice.
I'm tired of watching television. Let's go for a walk.
I was getting tired of all her negative remarks.
Tired old speeches.
Tireless.
Tireless.
The tireless efforts of the rescue workers.
Tiresome.
Tiresome.
The whole tiresome business of filling out the forms.
Tiring.
Tiring.
We've all had a long, tiring day.
Tis.
Tis. Tissue.
Tissue.
A box of tissues.
Tit.
Tit.
Titan.
Titan.
Titanic.
Titanic.
A titanic struggle.
Titanium.
Titanium.
The Titans.
Titans.
Tidbit.
Titbit.
Titch.
Titch.
Titchy.
Titchy.
Tit for tat.
Tit for tat.
Tithe.
Tithe.
Titillate.
Titillate.
Title.
Title.
The title of this play is Othello, the UK's 20 best-selling titles. Her official title is Editor. Tyson won the WBA title in 1987.
He has title to the land.
Title bar. Title bar.
Titled.
Titled.
Title deed.
Title deed.
Title holder.
Title holder.
Title page.
Title page.
Title roll.
Title roll.
Title track.
Title track.
Titleist.
Titleist.
Titter.
Titter.
At the word breast, some of the class tittered.
Tittle tattle.
Tittle tattle.
Titty.
Titty.
Titular.
Titular.
TiVo.
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 Tizzy.
Tizzy.
T-junction.
T-junction.
TLA.
TLA.
TLC.
TLC.
TM.
TM.
TNT.
TNT.
Two.
We tried to explain.
It was starting to rain.
The manager asked them to leave.
An attempt to escape.
Have you got permission to stay here?
Our team's certain to win.
Are you ready to start?
This delicious dessert is easy to make.
You can drive today if you want to. I could have helped, but nobody asked me to.
I know where to go, but I don't know how to get there.
She wondered whether or not to trust him.
They left early to catch the 7:30 train.
To find out more about university courses, write to this address.
We need more money to improve transport in London.
It's nice to be wanted.
He's finding it hard to cope.
To say I'm disappointed is an understatement.
The simplest solution would be to increase the price.
You'll soon be old enough to vote in elections.
He did not have the energy to resist.
I'm too tired to go out tonight.
You are to wait here until I return.
They are to be married on May 25th.
He arrived there to find that the last train had already left.
The princess stepped ashore to be greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of admirers.
She woke to see Ben standing by the window.
I've never heard of him, to be quite honest.
To begin with, let's look at Chapter 3.
She stood up and walked to the window.
The road to London.
Our weekly trip to the supermarket.
Sending a spaceship to Mars.
These people go from house to house selling goods.
He sent presents to the children.
She whispered something to the girl beside her.
Give my best wishes to your parents when you see them.
Don't show these letters to anyone else.
A message from the Emperor to his people.
Knutsford is about 16 miles to the south of Manchester.
There was a table to the left of the doorway.
Sophie goes to gymnastics every Friday.
Did you get an invitation to their wedding?
Don't forget, we're going to a party tomorrow night.
If he needed help, Mother came rushing to the rescue.
She sang the baby to sleep. Wait until the lights change to green.
A return to a traditional way of life.
He held a knife to her throat. They danced cheek to cheek.
He tied the rope to a tree.
Attach a recent photograph to your application form.
Cash machines are linked up to a central computer.
I sat with my back to the window.
We were standing face to face.
George's sister was married to an Italian.
He was first cousin to King Philip VI.
The robbery may be linked to other crimes of violence. She can already count from 1 to 20.
The water came right up to our knees.
Temperatures dropped to 25 degrees below zero. It's 10 kilometres from here to the coast.
She read the novel from beginning to end.
Does your interest in nuclear physics extend to nuclear weaponry?
They stayed from Friday night to Sunday morning.
I'll be on duty from 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
The factory clearly represents a danger to health.
She's always been kind to animals.
His attitude to life.
What have you done to the radio? It's not working.
Jane is secretary to the managing director. I'm still waiting for an answer to my question.
Have you seen the key to the back door?
England beat Scotland by 2-1.
Yes, she was punished, but it was nothing to what she deserved.
The whole thing sounds very suspicious to me. Tickets cost £10 each, and to some people that's a lot of money.
To my mind, age does not matter. Love is what matters.
Much to everyone's surprise, she passed the exam with distinction.
I discovered to my horror that my passport was missing.
It's only 2 weeks to Christmas.
How long is it to dinner?
We're only getting 130 yen to the dollar at the moment.
There are just over 4.5 litres to a gallon.
The car will do over 40 miles to the gallon.
The scale of your map is 1 inch to the mile.
I woke to the sound of torrential rain.
The royal couple arrived to a fanfare of trumpets. I like to exercise to music.
There must have been 18 to 20,000 people at the concert. He drowned in 10 to 12 feet of water.
It was the first time I'd had a room to myself.
I'll bet you 10 to 1 he'll forget all about it.
The wind blew the door to.
Toad.
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 Toad in the hole.
Toad in the hole.
Toadstool.
Toadstool.
Toady.
Toady.
Toadying to the boss.
To and fro. To and fro.
Toast.
Toast.
I had a piece of toast for breakfast.
I'd like to propose a toast to the bride and groom.
They sat near the fire, warm as toast.
If you challenge her, you're toast.
They toasted the birth of their new baby with champagne.
I toasted the cheese sandwiches.
Tom was toasting his feet by the fire.
Toaster.
Toaster.
Toasting fork.
Toasting fork.
Toastmaster.
Toastmaster.
Toasty.
Toasty.
Our nice toasty bed.
Tobacco.
Tobacco.
Tobacconist.
Tobacconist.
To be.
To be.
A magazine aimed at young mums-to-be.
Toboggan. Toboggan. Toboggan.
Toccata.
Toccata.
Toxin.
Toxin.
Todd.
Todd.
Today. Today. I couldn't go shopping yesterday, so I'll have to go today. Ed has his music lesson today.
We're going on holiday today week.
Students today seem to know very little about geography.
Today is my birthday. Have you seen today's paper?
Today's computers are becoming much smaller and lighter.
Young people of today.
Toddle.
Toddle.
Every afternoon, Marge would toddle down to the library.
Toddler.
Toddler.
Toddy.
Toddy.
To die for. To die for.
Betty's strawberry cheesecake is simply to die for.
To do.
To do.
There was such a to-do when I said I didn't want to be married in a church.
To-do list.
Toe. Toe.
He stubbed his toe on a rock.
They do random checks to keep workers on their toes.
You toe the line, or you don't stay on the team.
Toe.
Toe cap.
Toe cap.
Toe curling.
Toe curling. There's a toe curling scene in the film where he keeps accidentally offending his girlfriend's parents. It was toe curlingly embarrassing.
Toehold.
Toehold.
The company has gained a toehold in the competitive computer market.
Toic.
Toenail.
Toenail.
Toe rag.
Toe rag.
Toff.
Toff.
Toffee.
Toffee.
You can't sing for toffee.
Toffee apple.
Toffee apple.
The apple. Toffee nosed.
Toffee nosed.
Tofu.
Tofu.
Tog.
Tog.
Toga.
Toga. Together. Together.
We've very much enjoyed working together.
They've decided to spend more time together.
He and my father were at school together.
Together they went back inside the villa.
He tried to glue the broken pieces together.
Mix the butter and sugar together.
She clasped her hands together.
He took the engine apart and then put it back together again.
The model was held together with string. Mark and I have been together 8 years now. Are those two together? A lot of people live together before getting married.
Sometimes I don't know what keeps us together.
She keeps all the important documents together in one file.
Embarrassed, she gathered her things together and left.
Goods of a similar kind should be stored together. The trees had been planted a little too close together. The climbers were sitting huddled together for warmth.
Max was rubbing his hands together with glee. Knock the brushes together to clean them.
Together we can win.
The conference called on all good men to come together to resist socialism.
He said that the main purpose of the Baha'i faith was to bring people together.
Both letters should have arrived. I mailed them together.
Oh, they said together.
Right, men. All together now. Push!
Add these numbers together and then divide the total by 7.
Together, they won only 21% of the votes.
The table and chairs are together worth about £200.
Just bring it back to the store together with your receipt.
Becoming self-employed meant giving up a secure salary together with sick leave and long vacation time.
He, together with Bill Dunn, decided to climb out of the canyon.
Jane is such a together person.
Togethering. Togethering.
Togetherness.
Togetherness.
The togetherness we felt at college.
Toggle.
Toggle.
Toggle switch.
Toggle switch.
Toil.
Toil.
I've been toiling away at this essay all weekend.
They toiled slowly up the hill.
A life of toil.
Toilet.
Toilet.
He flushed the toilet.
Public toilets.
Mummy, I need to go to the toilet.
She finished her toilet.
Toilet bag.
Toilet bag.
Toilet paper.
Toilet paper.
Toiletries.
Toiletries.
Toilet roll.
Toilet roll.
Toilet training.
Toilet training.
Toilet water.
Toilet water.
Toing and froing.
Toing and froing.
After much toing and froing, they finally reached a decision.
Toke.
Toke.
Token.
Token.
Please accept this gift as a small token of our appreciation.
A £10 book token.
The government thinks it can get away with token gestures on environmental issues.
A small token payment will keep the bank happy.